Hey everybody, welcome to Fact Axis. Today, we're going to go over the top 10 N64 games. Make sure to watch until number 1, because it's easily one of the best and most amazing games we've ever played. Number 10, Mario Party 64, the Mario Party that started it all. In today's world, there are many sequels, 9 to be exact. And while many hold Mario Party 6 as the best one, we can't exactly forget to pay homage to its predecessor. What was new, exciting, and innovative at its time has now been looked at as clunky and having poor game mechanics. And speaking of poor game mechanics, there was even controversy among the game's release, where certain minigames required players to rotate the 64's analog stick as fast as they could, while some reportedly got blisters and friction burns, and even lacerations just from rotating the analog stick around for the minigames. Although there were never any lawsuits, there were nearly 100 complaints, all received by the New York's Attorney General's office, and Nintendo of America actually agreed to a settlement, which included providing gloves for anybody who had actually hurt their hands while playing the game, and paying the state's legal fees at the time. However, for its time, the game received much praise, and within the first 2 months of its US release, Mario Party was actually among the top 5 most rented video games of its kind, and we can see why. Playing on a board setting, rolling dice, and even playing minigames with your best friends and CPUs makes for a wonderful, fun time. Number 9, Star Fox 64.
I've been waiting for you, Star Fox.
Selling well over 4 million copies, Star Fox 64 still stands to this day as one of the best-selling games for the system. Advanced for its time, players take control of Fox McCloud and an Arwing in this amazing 3D scrolling shooter game. The game is jam-packed with all sorts of interesting levels, planets, puzzles, and yes, bosses.
So this is Star Fox.
One of Star Fox's strong points is that progression of the game isn't exactly linear. Based on player choice, they can actually choose which path they want to take to get to the end level. Star Fox and Friends' primary goal of this game is to stop Andross from destroying the galaxy. In fact, Star Fox 64 was such a hit that Nintendo re-released it back in 2011 for the 3DS. Number 8, Mario Kart 64. Yet another iconic, trend-setting Mario game of its time. Full of fun new faces, iconic, and memorable levels, Mario Kart 64 sets itself apart from other racing games as a good, hearty, family fun game. While the 64 version was new and iconic, it wasn't the first of its kind, building off its foundation laid by its predecessor from the SNES. If you grew up from this era, chances are you've probably played it, and more than likely loved it. Although it was a widely loved game, critics, on the other hand, seemed to either be hot or cold, some critics calling it a massive disappointment, while others were wildly enthusiastic. As of 2007, over 5.5 million copies have been sold in the United States alone, which makes Mario Kart 64 probably one of the funnest racing games you'll ever play. Number 7, Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Hands down, one of the most memorable and legendary games to not only have ever existed, but for the 64 alone. Ocarina of Time stands to this day as one of the most revered Zelda titles in existence. Following young Link through Hyrule as he strives to stop King Ganondorf from gaining complete control over the Triforce and using it for evil. Link must travel through dungeon to dungeon and even through time to thwart his plans. So, what's not to like about Ocarina? Nothing. From the epic gameplay, mechanics, combat, storyline, and of course, our favorite, the music. How could this game not line up to be a living legend? Every dungeon is perfection, and this game's popularity and cult following clearly shows that. Ocarina of Time, only a few years later, received a special re-released version known as Master Quest, where items and puzzles have been altered to give players a new take on their adventure. Fast forward to 2011, where Ocarina received its first 3DS makeover, which was also a total hit as much as it was a complete graphics overhaul. With over 7 million copies sold worldwide, there is a very good reason Ocarina of Time is hands down one of the best video games of all time, and well deserving on this list. Number 6. Super Smash Bros. 64. Probably one of the most notable games from the entire system's era. Super Smash Bros. 64 brings together a wide host of popularized 64 characters like Mario, Link, Kirby, Star Fox, Yoshi, and many more. Smash Bros. Was widely popularized due to its incredible arena-style battle royale combat, where players could fight NPCs and other players seamlessly. Tons of levels, nodding to other games in series, and a very unique storyline that takes the player up against the universal creator. Yet a title that performed so well, it got a sequel that would later come out for the Nintendo GameCube. Super Smash Bros. 64 also hosted a wide array of puzzle levels and more goodies to dive into. While it was mostly well received, it's obvious this title heavily leaned towards multiplayer gameplay. Also, if you enjoy these videos, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss more amazing top list videos. Number 5. Yoshis Story 64. A hidden gem of the 64, and unfortunately received an underwhelming amount of popularity. While many might disagree with this game being on this list, we found it to be an amazing side-scrolling platformer for the 64. Playing as Yoshi, going through many different worlds in his storybook, you encounter many different enemies, bosses, and worlds, collecting tons of fruit and other goodies along the way. While the game itself only received moderate review scores, like 6 out of 10 being the average, we can confidently say that if you're a fan of older side-scrollers, this one is well worth checking out. Number 4. Conker's Bad Fur Day. One of the most controversial games of its time, due to its strong language, adult themes, and a mountain made of poop. Conker's Bad Fur Day kind of plays similar to that of other platformers, like BanjoKazooie for example. Probably because they're both made by Rare, a company responsible for many amazing 64 titles, a handful of which are on the same list. Released in 2001, Conker earns itself easily on this list due to its incredibly high score, great gaming mechanics, storyline, and stands easily as one of the best games ever made. Like other games, Conker has earned its own cult following and its own remake that appeared on Xbox in 2005. Unfortunately, the game didn't sell very well because it was released near the end of the 64's life cycle, thus having very limited marketing. Conker's biggest pros are that it plays great while also being hilarious at the same time. Number 3. Super Mario 64.
It's me, Mario!
One of the most notable games and first games to come out with the 64. Super Mario 64 was about showing off to players what this system was truly capable of at the time. Beautifully fleshed out 3D levels, abundant amount of enemies, and stars to collect. This game revolutionized 3D platforming, selling more than 11 million copies worldwide by 2003. It heavily inspired 3D game design for the future ahead. Super Mario 64 was so well designed and so well received that, like others on this list, received its own remake on the Nintendo DS, known as Super Mario 64 DS, and even that remake sold over 6 million copies. To this day, it is still known as the best-selling Nintendo 64 game, period.
Here we go!
Number 2. Goldeneye. Goldeneye 007 is notably one of the most important first-person shooters in all of gaming history. Goldeneye set the standard for shooters that would follow in its wake, like many of the popular shooting titles today. Based somewhat on the Goldeneye film that came out several years before it, we're taken through the mission of British 00 agent as he seeks to disable a massive satellite weapon aimed against London. With incredible level design, long and fulfilling campaign, and tons of challenges, Goldeneye quickly proved to be a worthy title of high praise. Let's not forget about its stellar multiplayer combat, spending hours karate chopping each other, and a huge host of different guns to use. In fact, the multiplayer was so good that it was hailed as the best multiplayer game on the 64, even above games like Mario Kart. After receiving multiple awards, tons of high scores and reviews, Goldeneye even outsold Ocarina of Time on its debut year in 1998, the same year that Ocarina of Time came out. One thing's for sure, Goldeneye 007 easily stands the test of time to this day as one of the best shooters there are. Number 1. BanjoKazooie. Hailing at the number 1 spot on this list is a personal favorite of ours, BanjoKazooie. Easily one of the best 3D platformers of all time, and while selling millions of copies, spawned several sequels that follow after it in the years to come. Even the newest evolution, known as Ukulele, which follows the same close concepts, but uses a lizard instead of a bear. BanjoKazooie follows Banjo, a lovable bear with a bird in his backpack as he traverses Gruntilda's lair, going from world to world, collecting music notes, jigsaw puzzles, and defeating the baddies. What makes this game so great is the incredible music composed by none other than the amazing Grant Kirkhope, who also had a hand in the music of Goldeneye, among many other amazing games you probably know. The diversity in levels and worlds, extra puzzles and challenges, and the general flow of the game. It's not too easy, but it's not overly difficult. Let's not forget the quick-witted dialogue and some borrowed humor from Conker's Bad Fur Day, just tamed down a bit. I mean, after all, Rare did have a hand in making this, along with Goldeneye, Conker, and several other amazing games. Chances are, if you're a lover of platforming games, you'll quickly fall in love with this game and see why it's easily one of the most lovable platforming games there are. That about sums up our list. Let us know in the comments which game was your favorite and why. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more great, amazing top list videos, and stay tuned for more.